Hello, my name is Akanksha Sarde and my roll number is a 204 and PRN number is a 202110153. And here my topic is a self-organized map. The neural network use the processing inspired by the human brains as the basic to develop algorithms that can be used in the model and understand the complex pattern and prediction problems. Here are the several types of a neural networks. And the self-organized map is also known as the sum of the it was the proposed by the Cohen. It is an unsupervised neural network that is trained by using the unsupervised learning techniques and algorithms to produce the low dimensional discrete representations from the input space of the training samples known as the map, and it is a therefore a method to reduce the dimensional data. And self-organized map, it is a neural network that is using for the error correction learning method, such as the gradient descent and neighborhood functions to reveal all the topological properties. And the self-learning organization map is the data visualization. But these days, it has been applied to different problems, including as a solution to the traveling cells and problems as well. The map unit or a neural visualizations they are dimensionally spaced and hence the mapping from the high dimensional space into a plane is created. The map retain the calculated elevations distance between the points. Those points the closer to each other within the input space are mapped to the nearby map unit in a self-organized map. Self-organization map that can be serves the cluster analyzation tools for the high dimensional data. Self-organization map also have the capability to generalize, to degeneralization, and many types of these functions are used. The network can be recognizes or characterizes the input that has never seen as data before. New input is taken up to with a map unit is therefore to be the mapped. Uses of the self-organized map. The self-organized map is provided the advantages of the maintaining the data and so many types of the it would be principal composition and analyzing the high dimensional data, various type of the causes. Self-organized map can be great alternative to the PCA for the reduction in the dimensionality. If the data has several dimensionals and each present the dimensional is relevant, the group are created through the semantic faces analysis based on the detection of a various individual faces. And the application is also useful for the economy, industry, management, sociology, geography, text mining. Many variant has been defined to adapt the sum of the processing of the complex data, such as the time series, categorized data, nominal data, dissimilarities, or kernel data. The uses of the self-organized map are a semantic faces analysis generating the groups based on the identification of a different individual features. These methods find the features organization in a dataset that forms the organized written clusters. Here are some the uses of the self-organized map. However, these clusters sometimes may or may not have any physical analogs. Therefore, a calibration method to relate these clusters to reliability is required and self-organizing the map to the job. This calibration method defines the mapping between the group and measure the physical properties. The text clustering is another important pre-processing step that can be performed through the self-organization map. It is the method that helps to verify how the present text can be converted into the mathematical expressions for further analysis and the processing. The exploratory data analysis and the visualization are the most important application of the self and the self-organization map, a neural-based dimensionality reduction algorithm generally used to represent the high-dimensional dataset as the two-dimensional discretized pattern. Reduction in a dimensionality is performed while the retaining the topologies of the data present in the original feature space. And here are the some diagram of the x and y size. This is an input vector that x1, x2, xn up to xn. It is then input vector. And here the size of the x and n. Here we are discussing about the SOM training. The SOM doesn't use the back propagation with SGD to update the weight. This type of unsupervised artificial neural network uses the competitively learning to update its weight. Competitively learning is based on three processes: competition, cooperation, and adaptation. And the maniest properties, processes, contribution to the self-organization include the feedback, encapsulation, autocatalysis, synchronization, criticality, connectivity, and the adaptability. Here are the competitions. There are so many types of the competitions. Competitions within the before each neural network are assigned to the weight. Here we are known about these maps are based on the competition learning. A self-organized feature map is a type of artificial neural network that is trained using the unsupervised learning algorithm to produce the two-dimensional discretized representation of the input space of the training samples. It's called the mapping. Assign the weight with the same dimensional as the input space. And here are the five stages of this algorithm. That is, first step is initialization, second is the sampling, third is the matching, fourth is the adapting, and fifth is the continuation. In this example below, each neuron of the output layer, we will have the vector with a dimension n. We compute this distance between the neurons and the input data and the neuron with the lowest distance with the winner of the competitions. The Euclidean matrices are commonly used to measure the distances. And here we are using the competitions. Here are the three inputs, that is x1, x2 and xn up to the xn. But here we are calculating the distance of a wij with the input layer. With the using the we are using the Euclidean distance formula, that is x1 and w1, x2, w2. With respect to these terms we are using and finding the Euclidean distance. With these competitions of the self organized map, with the best example I have given is that artificial neural network, which is also inspired by the biological models of the neural systems. It follows an unsupervised learning approach and training it a neural through the and here are the cooperations. What is meant by cooperations? Cooperations is the winner neural in the final processes is a computations data method which is the produces non-linear mapping of the data of the lower dimensions. And the self-organization refers to the broad range of the pattern formation process in both the physical and the biological systems such as the sand, grain assembling into the ripple buns. The chemical reactions from this are produces the various type of fish joining together, etc. And to which we have to choose the negligibles. To choose the negligibles, we have the negligible hood kernel functions. This function depends on two factors: time increment each new input data and the distance between the winner neurons and the other neurons. Here are the cooperation diagrams. The image below shows us how the winner neuron, the most green in the negligible hoods and most of the green are called as the Tn time, and the second green is a T1, and one of the most lowest color of the green is a T0 that represents the lower. Now here are we seeing about the adaptations. After choosing the winner neuron and its negligible hoods, we compute the neurons update. Those chosen neurons will be updated, but not the same update. More the distance between the neurons and the input data grows less, we adapt the shown into the images. Here are the our images of the adaptations. Here are the long distance. Using the Euclidean distance formula, we are finding the which is the one of the most uh, uh, closest distance here, and we are finding this is the winner of that type. And here are the formula of the adaptations. The winner neurons and its negligible hoods will be the updated with using this formula. This learning rate indicates how much we want to adjust our weights. And here are the after t positive infinite, this learning rate will coverage to the zero, so we will have to update the even of neurons. The negligible hood kernel depends on the distance between the winner neurons and the other neurons. The increases, the h of t decreases, and the negligible hood size with itself depends on the time. Full sum algorithms initialize the weight to small random values repeated in the coverage, and select the all of the next. And architecture, here as an architecture data set recognizes it's by the computing for the representation and initializing the weight to the vectors. And here are the some architectures. Each neuron of the output layer is present with the vector with a dimension n. Here are the some pros. Data can be easily interpreted and understood with the help of the techniques like the reduction of the dimensionality and grid clustering. Self-organizing map are capable of the handling leveler types of the classification problems while providing the useful and the intelligent summary from the data at the same time. Here are the some cons. It does not create a generatively model for the data, and therefore the model does not understood how data is being created. The self-organized discipline as well as the flexibility. You need to understand that the one format doesn't fit everywhere. So you can need to balance between the scrum rules and the team's weaknesses. If balance is achieved fast, this will speed up the self-organization process. Self-organization map do not perform well while working with the categorical data, and even worse for the mixed type of the data. The model preparation time is cooperatively very slow and hard to train the adjacent and individual data. After all of this, the acknowledgement and celebrate the team success and achievements. Thank you. My name is Akanksha Annasaheb Sir.